Chapa here in studio, and we're going to be sharing some good information. Dr. Chapa, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great, Gardy. It's nice to see you, be a part of the world that you are in technologically. And I mean, just, it's just so many cool things going on out in the world today. And so I think that we have a great show in store for all you guys. We are a alternative medicine practice. We give people alternatives to drugs and surgery. At Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we really pride ourselves on teaching our patients how to navigate the terrain of life, the challenges of the allergens that we're in and still, coming out of right now with the spring, the winds, the heavy dust pollens. I mean, we've seen all kinds of things blooming, and I've been checking my little pollen app because I've just seen so many cases, trying to take a little bit of a derail or a setback, and it's only because the allergens are a burden that your body is carrying, and we give people alternatives to dealing with those types of burdens because you can't predict always how your body is going to respond, especially this year when we look at allergies, for example, and we're at an all-time high, 10-year high on the amount of pollens and blooming, budding activity in the ground, and people are struggling. People's liver need more support than normal, especially people that are in our current care programs that we're already asking the liver to do work, and we're already cleaning up the bowels, but now we're dirtying up the bowels with the onslaught of new burdens coming in environmentally. So this is the time of year where we want people to be aware that we've got tools that's better than just an over-the-counter allergy medication or a shot that you might be having to do yearly or seasonally. And we want people to have these tools and alternatives because we believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level. And if we put these tools in, it supports the nutritional fundamentals, the building blocks of life so that the body can perform like it's supposed to, day in and day out. And so a lot of you guys have been asking for information around sun exposures, how to deal with the upcoming season of the summer. We're coming into, obviously, full bore into spring, and people are starting to see that beautiful, wonderful weather outside. And what does it make them want to do, Gardy?
Go outside in the sun.
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've already gotten, several days worth of some good sunshine, and it makes me fired up and excited inside. And I want you guys to be fired up and excited inside about the opportunity to go out and enjoy the sunshine, because the sun is not the enemy. Too many people today see the sun as causing what?
Skin cancer or cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anytime you put cancer associated with anything, now all of a sudden we have a me versus it, a foe, an enemy, a secret, thing that we have to avoid. And the reality is the sun is not your enemy, and the sun can provide quite a few health benefits. And so when people are going out into the sun, I'm seeing tons of people come in, and I teach them that there are things that they can do biochemically through their diet and through supplementation to maximize their ability to prevent sunburns and or to heal from sun exposures if they already are burned. And so one of the simplest things that we do when people are exposed to the sun, in preparation, and I do this with everybody, whether they realize it or not, because at our office, we see patients coming in, and they are having all kinds of essential fatty acid deficiency symptoms. What does that look like? Well, they might have brain fog. Maybe they've got dry skin. Maybe they've got some cardiovascular health challenges. Maybe they've got some memory, names, numbers, and word challenges. This could simply be an essential fatty acid issue. They could have leaky gut signs and symptoms such as irritable bowel when they eat certain foods. They could have disruption, bloating, gas after they eat. They could get bloated below their belly button. They could have intestinal pain 2 hours after they consume food. This could be a sign that the essential fats are not protecting them from whatever it is they're eating, or obviously whatever they're eating is affecting them. But I mean, to say that everybody's going to eat perfect all the time, you need some sort of insurance policy because people just aren't going to restrict to the point where they're not having fun in life. I mean, who doesn't love good watermelon in the sun? Who doesn't love, ice cream? I can't believe I just said that. But I mean, who doesn't want a snow cone or get to do some of those fun things and then pay a big old penalty in health? Now, I mean, to be quite honest, I think if sugar was introduced into our society today, it would be a controlled substance. I've even recently heard in a book called what is it? Caffeine Blues, that, if caffeine was introduced into our society today, it would be a controlled substance, which, doesn't surprise us. I mean, we know that, people overindulge in any type of stimulants, but people don't realize that sometimes that the stimulant is so subtle, like sugar, that and it's in everything. It infiltrates our bodies, and it causes this internal fire, inflammation. And that internal fire puts in a nutritional demand on your body where you need more essential fatty acids, for example. So every patient that I work with, we are addressing essential fatty acid issues. What is an essential fatty acid? It's a fat. It's omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s. We should be in a particular ratio where we have, a 6-to-1, type pattern, omega-6 and, to omega-3s. And one of the things that we do in our office is we look at this thing called an omega Quant test. And we look at the essential fatty acid biochemistry. We look at how much fire is currently in that person's blood, how much fire is in their cells, and we look at how many firefighters do we have on staff going and fighting these internal inflammatory fires that are going on day in and day out due to environment, due to food choice, due to drink choice, due to stress load. I mean, there's so many things that contribute to the inflammatory fire in our bodies. I just went to the gym this morning. As much as going to the gym is a benefit, it also is inflammatory. I mean, you tear down muscles. I mean, I feel warmth in my legs still. I feel warmth in my butt. And I'm thinking, wow, I must have really worked those glutes hard today. I must have really worked those hamstrings like never before today. I'm feeling it, and it feels good. But that's inflammation, right? And so if I don't have a strong essential fatty acid base, I'm in trouble. Well, that then would lead to my inability to carry minerals into the cell where my cells can deal with sun exposure. So essential fatty acids are like taxi services. They carry minerals to the cells so that the cells can then uptake those nutrients and begin to deal with life or do their daily job or detoxify themselves so that they're more productive and active. And without the essential fatty acid base and this omega Quant test being able to really give us a quick picture, and it's only a finger prick, and we mail it off and we get this great little picture back of fat ratios, firefighter ratios, and what you can do to add certain types of food-based fats, whether it's more of this fish or that fish, or we might just make sure that we're dosing you correctly when we put you on omega oils. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, our kids are dealing with essential fatty acid issues. And so in the sun exposure protection game, we want to make sure that our internal system is working like it's supposed to. But as you can tell, it's not just a supplement for sun exposure. It's a supplement that supports every tissue, cell, organ, gland in the body. I've been, quoted to say things like, if I had one supplement to affect essentially every tissue, cell, organ, gland in the body, it would be the omegas, the omega-3s, 6s, and 9s. Why? Because these guys will support that cell membrane, which is a fatty layer. And so if we can get that fatty layer healthy and strong, that membrane then protects everything inside. and it prevents toxins from building up inside. It also allows the detoxification of whatever's in there that doesn't belong in there that can get pumped out, but it also allows those receptors to allow nutrients in, and then the cells then to communicate neighbor to neighbor, community to community, system by system, all the way back to the brain, and the brain say, oh, good, I got a good check of assessment, or, you know what, we've got a little spill on aisle elbow right side, and the body goes down and deals with whatever. And so we want to look at the omegas as an important piece of your care plan. Well, let's say that you don't have an omega quant test. You haven't made it into the office. You should. 281-554-8600. We can get you hooked up. But we want you to know that you can come and use our omega products. They're a re-esterified triglyceride, very, very they're healthy oils. They're not rancid. They're not been adulterated. They haven't been heat treated. They are a high quality re-esterified triglyceride that allows the body to just take it in as if you're eating a fish. It's the closest thing in a pill that we can wring the fish out, get all the good oils out of it, and then put it in our body. And this will support every tissue, cell, organ, gland, neurological tissue in the body. That's very exciting. It supports the GI tract. So it's improving, protecting, detoxifying, delivering all kinds of value to the body. And so we have to have the essential fatty acid base in place so that we can make sure that when we are exposed to heavy doses of sun, we are in a better spot to be protected and those cells don't get out of balance. You see, today we look at the aisles or the end caps right now because spring and summer's coming, and it's got all these different lotions and potions that people are naturally gravitating towards and buying. Well, the problem with that is some of these lotions and potions have quite a few chemicals in there that create a disruptor, and they cause the skin. You see, the skin has these little melanocytes, and they can take in all the different types of sun rays. And there's several different types of sun rays. And then if you take in a skin cream or a sunscreen and you only block one or two of the rays, you create an imbalance in the melanocytes. And the melanocytes in the skin cells begin to get out of balance. And when there's imbalance in the body, we see instability. Instability then leads to inflammation, and then a continuous exposure continuous inflammation is that internal fire that leads somebody down the burn route or potentially even worse, the skin cancer route. And that's what begins to happen. So we are oftentimes going to show you that if you take in these skin creams that are just generic, that you're buying off the shelf, these mineral oils, they sound good. They sound protective, but they really do more harm than good. And so we want to make sure that we give you the tools to kind of look at what is on that label. And so when we see common ingredients, there are the biggest ones, parabens. Parabens are very well known to be carcinogenic. They're in a lot of different skin care products, not just sunscreens. So you should look at anything that you put on your skin as a moisturizer, as a cleanser, as a sunscreen, sunblock. And if it has these parabens in there, you should reconsider. You should look at getting those things out of the body ASAP, because these parabens are just nasty chemicals that typically are just cheap fillers. They're not really serving the body as much as allowing that cream to stay a cream. And so that's what happens with a lot of these things. And I will tell you too, if you look at an ingredient label of stuff you put on your body and you can't determine if you could eat it or not, you should reconsider putting it on your skin, because in a sense you are eating it. It's just being absorbed through the skin, and you don't necessarily look at it like you're eating it, but it's definitely getting inside the body. This can not just create imbalances in the melanocytes, but this can also lead to disruptions in your hormones. So all the skincare world is really driving a lot of imbalances in hormone activity because it blocks the receptors for certain hormones like estrogens and or progesterone to balance out your sex drive or your endocrine axis, your hormonal stability chain. And these things also congest the liver. And when we bog down the liver, the metabolic system begins to slow down. So again, it's not an easy conversation that, oh, well, these skin creams are just going to protect me from the sun. Well, they might protect you from the sun today, but what are the cost to the to these creams and lotions and potions? And so some other products that you might see on a label is Oxybenzone. Is a widely used non-mineral based product in many sunscreens, and we've seen this is very allergenic. Well, when we're looking at the world today, we're seeing more and more people sensitive to chemicals, not just this oxybenzone, but to many different types of chemicals that people are putting in their body through food and or other creams, lotions, and potions that are on the label. And so this is absorbed in high quantity in your skin. Your skin kind of sucks it up, and it has been detected in breast milk. They've seen it in amniotic fluid. They've seen it in the urine and in the blood. So, I mean, this stuff gets deep and it goes everywhere. And so we don't want to create, put things on our body, again, that can create these types of stressors. But, could it be that we don't need to put anything on our skin? I don't put anything on my skin. I do not go out in the sun and spend, an entire 8-hour day at the beach unprotected either, though. I'm not going fishing with my neighbor and not putting a hat on, glasses on, and, one of those cool
SPF long sleeve shirts.
Yeah, something, to cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take my sun in small incremental doses right out the gate. Like, you shouldn't overindulge in any type of food and expect your body to perform well. You eat this big old thing of, bread pudding and you wonder why you're sleepy afterwards. Well, what if you only had one bite? Would you have gotten sleepy? Yes, maybe. Maybe that's how messed up your blood sugar is. But in general, a bite of something sugary should not derail you for a day, a week, 2 weeks. Well, the sun is the same kind of thing. If you go out and you take a whole dose, a whole day's worth of sun exposure, you're setting yourself up for problem. And especially if you're coming out of the winter, where we've all been bundled up, covered up, and been hiding from the elements of the world around us, and now we're ready to get back out in the sun, but we get out there too fast, if you will, without the appropriate cover attire. So if you are naturally a fair-skinned person, you for sure want to take the sun in small incremental doses, but you do not want to neglect what you can do to fix the internal need. You've got to have the omega products inside. You've got to have that vitamin F factor. We have another product called Cataplex F that has that complex F vitamin that helps the delivery of these essential nutrients to the tissues. And then we look at calcium products. If you take the omega gels, if you take the calcium magnesium powder, the calcium lactate every day going into the summer, especially 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours before you go out into the sun, a nice hefty dose, and that could be these omega gels. By the way, you should taste some of these little ones for the kids. These is Omega Force Junior. Again, great for the brain, not just for sunscreen block or sunscreen protection, but also for every tissue, every cell, every organ in the body. It's very powerful, very wonderful.
Chew them, right?
Oh, yeah, you should. They're like little, look at them. They're like little,
It's
gummy
caviar.
balls.
I don't know what caviar looks like.
Yeah, it looks like
I
caviar.
Like
That could be like the stuff on a sushi roll or something.
Yeah.
But they are the delicious. My kids will just literally, that's funny. It's like, wink, wink, wink. Taking these things in sets us up for what we're going to do next, which is to get adequate calcium, magnesium. So again, we're still looking at the nutritional factor, not just what we're going to put on our skin. Really and truly, I think that you should be strong enough to handle these small doses, building up to bigger and bigger doses of the sun, where you're having almost your body acclimate and adapt, because it's very adaptive and it's very quick to do it, this nice, wonderful sun tan, where your body now, the tan that your body has created in balance of all your melanocyte receptors, is now protecting you from the elements of the world and the sun exposure that you're heavily looking forward to and wanting to partake in. That whether that's yard work, whether that's swimming pools, whether that's the beach, whether that's the cruise, wherever you're going to go and get into the summer fun. So now we're going to look at the calcium magnesium powder. I'm going to let you try both.
Okay.
The calcium lactate powder, I'm going to go first because it has definitely a bitter flavor to it, but it is a calcium magnesium. Typically, you're not going to find a straight calcium product because calcium and magnesium are like brother and sister. They're the most abundant two minerals in the body. They have so many functions. I mean, everything. Again, not just sunblocks, guys. I mean, this is when I was telling my team that, it's hard to break down some topics because, man, I want to talk about my son, for example. He is going through some growth pains right now where he's starting to get the Charlie horses in the legs. I said, how many did you have, Charlie horses did you have yesterday? He said, I had 3. And I'm like, how many doses of coral did you take yesterday? And the calcium magnesium powder, this stuff here. And he says 5. And I'm like, whoa. If he took 5 doses, now I don't know if I hope he did. That would make me very happy. But if he did take that many doses and he still had 2 or 3, cramp Charlie horses type agitations in his legs, what does that mean? He's not getting enough or he's not taking enough. Getting enough could mean he's not taking his omegas in addition for that delivery piece, or he legitimately is using up those 5 doses faster than his body can, can store up excess, and so we need to put more dose in. And that's okay because, again, if you're growing, if you're exposed to allergens, if you're exposed to heavy doses of sun, if you're playing sports, if you're training in the gym, if you're eating food you shouldn't be eating.
You described everybody just there.
I
Somebody
know.
checks one of those boxes.
I know. Somebody, right? Your mineral needs just went up, right? So your mineral needs may go up, and if you have a combination of any of those things, all of a sudden now your mineral needs exponentially go up. So there's this thing called the summer cold. Well, how do you get a cold in the summer? Well, the sun's evil. I told you on the front end of this conversation. It causes cancer, and it causes summer colds now. I mean, you've proved it to us. No. What I've proven to you is that your body's needs are higher than your supplies. And so we come in with the mineral support, calcium, magnesium, in the calcium lactate. So just take there's a little scooper in there. See if you can reach your little fingers down there. And I would just get like a teaspoon or so. It's definitely not that full scoop. That full scoop would rock you a little bit. Okay. But I would definitely take a nice little dose of that. So like other signs and symptoms that your calcium levels are low, not just agitations, cramps, aches, anxiety in the legs, feet, arms, and hands. You could do, I would still do half of that. Okay. And the only reason I would do half of that is because I don't know what you're going to do later. And it really and truly, if you take too much, it could kind of make you sleepy. And I don't want you to be sleepy.
That's my secret. I'm always sleepy.
You're like
the Hulk.
The Hulk is always angry. You're always sleepy.
Yeah.
But you did take the omegas, so that's good. So you should get good delivery. That looks good. And then
take it
Take
pre-workout.
it straight like a pre-workout.
Yeah.
And then you can and it's going to taste like what to you?
Chalk.
Yeah, it's going to taste like and how you have a memento. Here you go. And so that chalky-like feeling, but if you notice too, it's kind of got a little bit of a bitter chalk.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah. Well, I did say it was kind of not as good as the next one we're going to try. But definitely this stuff will help with anybody have ulcers in their mouth, ulcers in their tummy out there, canker sores, fever blisters, and or that summer cold, it's an indication that your calcium, magnesium. You look so happy right now,
It's
Guardian.
definitely bitter. That's what I'm.
Yeah, definitely bitter. Definitely bitter. I'm good. I'm through.
Just like a puff and a cloud of smoke. I can't even talk. Yeah. If you're just joining us, talking to Dr. Chapa, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. They are located in beautiful League City. We had some questions people asking as well.
Yeah,
so,
bring
yes.
it on, dude. Let's hit it. Let's talk about some questions.
Well, they were asking where you were, and that's why they answered. It said, we're currently at 815 East Main Street, Suite A in League City, but y'all are moving, which I'm excited about this summer.
322 East Main Street. Same road, 4 minutes up the road, closer to the Highway 3, westward from where we're currently at. And it's going to be awesome. And it's crazy, right? But again, you just took a nice, healthy, heaping dose of calcium, magnesium with your essential fats. The essential fats deliver the minerals to the tissues. Now those minerals are going to be uploaded into the body. Now, if you went and got some sun exposure today, guess what? Your body's going to be more in a better spot to handle the sun. Because what winds up happening is we haven't even talked about some of the great benefits of the sun. You can change your melatonin levels and improve sleep quality at night by getting adequate sunshine in through your eyes and in through those melanocytes through the day. What? How's that possible? You know, whenever I went to this aquaponics, not hydroponics, aquaponics class, and it was a whole week of study, biochemistry, ecology of the ground, the soil, how to just really grow in raised beds and those tower herb, gardens, using aquaponics and, a self-contained system with fish, water, mineral repletion. One of the cool things that they talked about is the early morning sun is some of the most powerful sun. You would think that the 12 o'clock sun straight above our head is the most powerful, and maybe it's the most hot, but the most rich benefits of sun exposures, that early morning sunshine. And so if you can get out and catch some of that earlier morning sunshine, just like the ground and the soil, the plants appreciate that more than that, that heat type hardcore sun from the 12 o'clock hour. You get more health benefits in those earlier hours. And so if you go outside and you go ahead and take your sunglasses off and you allow the sun just to kind of hit aspects of your eyes and as much of your skin as possible, even some of the more tender areas of our bodies that don't get a lot of sun exposure. I may or may not be advocating being in your backyard limited.
Just laying out there.
That's right. Just lay it out there. There is tons of benefit to getting that early morning sun exposure, and definitely can change your hormone pattern, can change your sleep patterns, can change so many aspects of your health. It can balance out your vitamin D. We haven't even got there yet. We're coming, but we're looking at just this omega aspect. We're looking at the calcium, magnesium. You should try a little capful. I'll pour it for you so you kind of know how much, because I've already given you some. But this one I like personally. I get less complaints with kids, so I use it more frequently. As a matter of fact, my children have a small 2-ounce bottle on their nightstands in their room, because how no fun is it that you're already tucked in bed, and after a long day your mind is kind of racing and you can't fall asleep. You can go ahead and take it.
Yeah, which one is this one again?
This one's calcium magnesium powder.
Okay.
And it does not taste like anything except a little bit of powder in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's way, 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 way different.
I've had this one before, mixed in liquid.
And you can mix it in liquid. Some people complain that it doesn't seem to dissolve well. So I just take these things straight. So I'll put it in my hand, and I
just make a mess. I just get it all over my clothes. That's what I was like. Look at my pants.
Throw it out there, right?
Yeah.
But now I know I didn't mess up any glasses. I don't know. Might have got some pixie dust on my clothes. But then with a little bit of water, and now the rest of the show, I'm going to have a white tongue and white lips.
Yes. White lipstick. That's what it looks like.
Yes.
Just rub it in.
And again, you can rub this in. But if you had an ulcer in your mouth, canker sore, you could rub calcium magnesium powder directly on top, the calcium lactate powder. The reason we choose these particular two products is they have to go through 1 to 2 chemical reactions in the body for usability, where many calcium products on the market, such as calcium carbonate, has to go through 11 to 13 chemical reactions before your body can really use it. Okay, so one of the things that we look at is efficiency of digestion. Most people today that come to see us and that probably should come see us, they have a digestive problem. And that digestive problem is they don't break down and leverage the absorption of these nutrients by cleaving them into something their body can use effectively. And so the calcium magnesium powder, the calcium lactate, they're the simplest products that your body can just go, you know what, I'm just going to turn the dial 1 or 2 degrees and I can turn it into something I can use. That is a very cool thing to note why we use certain types of minerals. So the thing on the backside, that lactate, is the indicating. People go, well, isn't that from milk? I thought you were anti-dairy. It's not from milk. It is actually from plants. And but that chemical reaction piece, the way it's cleaved, where it's cleaved in those carbon compounds, it determines if it's a carbonate, an aspartate, a citrate, or a lactate. And so we're just looking at the biochemical place where it has been cut or different bonds are attached that create what type of reactive mineral it is. And then that determines how much work the body has to do in order to use it and leverage it. Okay, so now we've got our omega coming in, supporting every tissue, cell, organ, gland in our body. This helps so many functions in our body, hormonally, neurologically, and just the way you feel cardiovascularly, in your recovery, in your nutrient delivery. Man, I could go on and on. It's really wonderful. Then we got the calcium powder we just took in. This is now supplying recovery for the muscles. This is starting to also change the way the skin is going to start functioning. We are waking the tissues up with just fat and minerals this morning. And now when we go out in the sun, let's say, I got, a few hours of sun this weekend, and I know that if I would have stayed out there all day completely uncovered, I would have been burned. But I only got a small dose in order to kind of tell my tissues, hey, the sun's coming. You best be getting ready. I don't want you to get burned. And, because people always know that there's that one big burn they get, and then they seem to tan and adapt. Well, it's because the body goes freak out on you and goes, whew, I better figure that out quick. I don't want that to happen.
I've heard a lot of people say that. I've never had that because I'm Hispanic, and so I get I'm already tan, and then I just kind of get tan. But I've heard that so much just growing up, I just got to get that one burn in, and
That's
then
right.
after that.
But the way you get away from that one burn is you get small incremental doses, an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't, of maximal sun exposure in that on the body tissues without being covered, without hiding under an umbrella, but getting some high, quality concentrated sunshine, especially that early morning sunshine, will do you wonders in prep. Now, if you are already darker in skin tone, well, you got a benefit, but it doesn't absolve you from this same conversation. I mean, just because you have a darker complexion doesn't mean you couldn't benefit from having omegas, couldn't benefit from having the calcium to protect you from mass sun exposure, because you can get skin cancer just like anybody else. And Lord knows I'm not speaking that over any of us. But this is what happens. It's those imbalances over time that create the glitches. And so we talked about how the sun, in one of its major benefits, could be just the melatonin uptake so that you can fall asleep better at nighttime. And you're thinking, well, I don't sleep good anyway. Now you're just giving me 2 ideas. So get sunshine can help me sleep in balance in melatonin, the calcium and magnesium balance in helping calm my body down, calm my mind down, so that my body can go into a rest state. But now the sun also helps the conversion of cholesterol to vitamin D. Well, who doesn't walk around with vitamin D? You look like you have a question, though.
Well, there's a comment, and there may need to be some clarification. This is from Carla. She said, when you wake up in the morning, will your lips turn back to their normal color, not white?
Yeah.
And the answer is, it's just a powder. And so as he's drinking, it's just like literally, it's been washed away.
So, and Carla, that is great. And look, people don't really know how to use these tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I just kind of, I'm in here just kind of tinkering around, but that's what I do at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, there is no magic. Like, I really caution people to not make it so complicated to know, I need only, I only need 950 milligrams of this one, and I need to have only, 400 milligrams of this, because the reality is these are just what we think we know. But like my son, he took magnesium powder yesterday 5 times, he says, but he's still got cramps. Well, he's been complaining about cramps for the last week, so I know he's going through a growth spurt. I mean, he's like this close to being taller than me. And I said, dude, if you want to be taller than me, these are the things you do. Take this, take this, take this, take this. Make sure that you don't eat that, and he does still eat some of the things he shouldn't. But at nighttime, having the coral or the calcium magnesium powder or the calcium lactate powder on your bedside, well, you don't want to get out of bed. So in the dark, I can literally open that bottle, stick my finger in there, get a little bit of a pinch or so, enough to cake on my finger and bring it and throw it back in my mouth. And that's all my body needs because I'm not so deficient. Now, my son sounds like he is deficient if he's taking a good little capful, no, not even a capful, but as much as I would say approximately a teaspoon or so 5 times throughout the day, his body would be more deficient. But he's not having problems sleeping. He's not having, Charlie horses and cramps in the middle of the night. It's only during the daytime, those deep bone pains. And the minute you feel that, that's your body asking, hey, I need a little extra. Can you hook a brother or sister up? Of course you can, because we have that small 2-ounce bag or a bottle. You got a little baggie. You can put this stuff in it. And during the summer months, as you're building up your reserves, you're preparing your body for quick adaptation so that when you're getting those 20, 30-minute bursts of sunshine exposure during the week, on the weekend, you're more apt to handle the 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour exposure to the elements. And then you can cover with a hat, sunglasses, and your jacket or your cool, sun-resistant materials, right? Again, I don't really use sunscreens or lotions or potions, but I know some of you do, right? So I thought at least I would provide some ideas. When you are picking up something, if you do not see zinc oxide or titanium dioxide as the number 1 and 2 ingredients, something very high in the concentration chain of ingredients of whatever lotion and potion you're grabbing, put it back. It's garbage. I mean, absolutely, positively not going to serve you. If you see things in there like parabens or that Oxybenzone in there, put it back. You know for certain, to make things not too complicated for you, that's not a good product, right, if you're going to use it. So, for example, my wife is into beauty counter products, and so is my office, Jennifer and Molly. They might use some of these things, and they have an SPF 25 type sunscreen product. It has non-nano zinc oxide in it, number 1 ingredient. Well. That's what we want to see. It's got chicory root, supports the skin barriers. Wow, that's cool. Who doesn't love some chicory root? Most people don't even know what that is. But we have a product in our office that is a chicory root powder that's great for the liver. That's so not just great for the liver. Just like all the other things we talked about this morning, there's so much overlap in other areas. So could we then make the case that if chicory root is good for the skin, if chicory root's good for the liver, that if you take internally chicory root, that supporting your liver can support your skin? Absolutely. Cool. I like this game. And so then we look at, it's got some vitamin E in it, which is antioxidants. Well, you're also getting some vitamin E, from your different essential fatty acids that we might use. And then then it also has squalene in it, which is derived from olives. Well, monosaccharide, these are good, healthy mono fats, one molecule based fats, so that your body is getting a different type of exposure from other types of fat sources. And so we look at this stuff and we go, that's cool. And so she likes the beauty counter stuff. It's called Counter Sun Daily Sheer Defense for the face. Last year Lexi got out, my 10-year-old, and she got into the sun too quick, too fast, and she definitely had a few little, not blisters, but definitely some pretty hard exposure to the face. And so this year we're going to be a little bit more, on the up and up, making sure that everybody's taking these adequate doses, because it's easy, guys, even in my house, to neglect some of these easy things. It's simple but not easy concept.
Yes.
And you just got to take an idea and run with it. Okay, if the only thing you got bandwidth for is to work the omegas and work the calcium lactate, boom, that's what you got. If the only thing you can remember is make sure the first ingredient is zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, boom, that's what you take from the message. If you can remember to avoid the parabens, you've got, you're creating a better space. So we try to just give you micro doses of information in order to make this easier, which then turns into something you feel like you can control and it's fun. And then you're taking in small incremental doses of sunshine earlier in the day so that you're preparing your body for a nice little run of it on the weekends, as opposed to going and binging on the sunshine on the weekends and getting yourself in a pickle. You come back red as a lobster on Monday, we know what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't adapting, you were burning. And we don't want you to burn, because that burning creates that inflammation. That inflammation then creates imbalances and instability, and that instability creates diseases in the skin and disruption in those melanocytes, which ultimately is what drives the disease, right? So we want to give you the benefit of helping support those tissues. But going back to before we asked, it talked about this idea of kind of how we interplay these products at the time the symptoms come on, is that the sunshine also gives us adequate vitamin D. So the sun is your friend. It does help to create balance in your hormones. They have done so much neurological study on sundowner syndrome, where the sun goes down and people get depressed. People get agitated more easily. They get more irritable in the non-sunshine hours because they're lacking vitamin D. I've seen cases of depression be resolved just by getting people's D levels up. People are walking around with D levels below what medicine calls low. That's a 30 level on the blood test. And when we see things like 20, 15, 10 on the test, we come in hot and heavy with high potency D. And we have a whole protocol on this 50,000 IUs of vitamin D. And this helps to get the numbers up very quickly. This is in every one of our deep-rooted cellular infection protocols. This would be in our adjunctive cancer, prevention protocols and things that we want to do to try to prevent these things from occurring in our body, so we don't have to go and deal with it acutely, right? And so what if you just got out there and you took the time to get your D levels up by getting adequate sun exposure? Well, you wouldn't need 50,000 IUs. We have another product, and I just didn't grab it, called DK Force, vitamin D with K, and it helps the absorption of the D, and we give you small incremental doses, between 5 and 15,000 IUs daily. Because again, most people are, just because you have a 30 or a 40 on your blood test that we run, we want it like at 65 or 75. And there's even some docs that I've read that even are okay with it higher than that. And what does that mean for you when you have higher levels of vitamin D? Again, sunshine converts it, adequate vitamin D levels from the skin, cholesterol levels, and those melanocytes communicating effectively. Your D levels begin to go up. Your immune system is enhanced. Your brain feels more happy and joyful and at peace with the world around it. And this is one of those areas where I think we need to take the time to not hide behind clothes, not to hide behind closed doors. I didn't say all clothes. I guess I should clarify.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that we're being courteous of others. We don't want to scare anybody. But we want to make sure that we're getting out into that sun and letting our body bathe in the sun, right? And so there's so much benefit to getting out in there for the brain activity, for our emotional state, our cholesterol state, our vitamin D state, our immune state. I mean, the sun is your friend. The sun is so powerful and amazing. It is this electrical energy in the sky that pierces the ground, converted into biochemistry, chemical energy, that our bodies then take in and reconvert it back into an electrical energy we can handle. I mean, I think the idea of the sun, yes, too much, too fast, and concentrated doses can be, problematic, but we're not talking about that. Just like food intake, just like anything, it's all about what? Moderation. It's all about that daily exposure so that you get the most bang for your buck whenever you're out in the elements. And these little protocols that we just threw out on the table are just some of those healthy benefits to maximize your skin care regime, your skin care protocol. So you're saying everybody should be on omegas? Everybody should be taking some level of calcium, magnesium? Yeah, I am. Vitamin D? Absolutely. Too many people are behind a desk or inside of an institutional wall, and they're not getting out in the sun in the key hours, and their levels are low. Their levels are depleted. Their body is burdened with other things that are robbing them of the nutrients they need in order to be the best version of themselves. And so the sun is one nutrient. One of the seminars that I used to teach was the top 10 elements that we have to live and thrive. And elements, whether it's, nutrients or whatever, but sunlight was number 1 or 2, as I think, air would be number 1, because without it, we're in trouble. But sun was number 2. We underestimate what the sun has to offer in the form of health. Now, yes, of course, if you are a fair-skinned human and your body never handles the sun well, number 1, the nutrient repletion addition to your care plan is key. But number 2, that small incremental dose for you specifically, that fair-skinned person, you got to get out there frequently in small doses to build up that adaptation. Now, if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you've tried it all, you've already done all this stuff, I don't know that you have effectively, but here's the deal. Then, yeah, you would cover. You would use some of these other tools. But still, you don't want to cover all the time. You still need small incremental doses because the sun offers so much life and so much benefit. That's why I use that Himalayan, Australian, sun-dried raw salt. Why? I believe there's just more life and more joy and more things that make me smile from the sun's result than I find in the awestruck wonder of being in a dark cave, in the Himalayas looking for salts. Not to say that there isn't power in it. Definitely don't want to go there. But if I was going a direction, I'm going towards the sun. I'm going towards the light. Sounds biblical. And as opposed to going into the depths, into the dark, where I go, ooh, that looks like a really enclosed space. Don't want to be there, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be in the light where that sun is providing life and energy and vitality into substances, and then I want to take in those substances, convert that into electrical energy that the sun was given to me to take in, and man, I want to reap that benefit. And so that's why I use that Himalayan, that Australian, Hawaiian sun-dried raw salt that we have in our office. I love that stuff. I love sprinkling it on all my food and seeing how I can help my cells take in more nutrients, balancing out my adrenal glands, helping my body stay hydrated, keep those cells electrically active so that my brain is always buzzing and feeling life and bubbly and healthy day in and day out. And so when it comes to the sun, we definitely, again, want to be being cautious of what we put on our body. I didn't bring it. It is actually in my cup holder in my car. I meant to bring it inside. But I have a product that we use for injuries in the office, but it happens to be an excellent a sun repair cream called Enzyme Phoresis Ice. And what it is it's an essential oil-based cream with plant enzymes in it, like rubbing aloe all over your body, but it's already packaged up in a bottle, and you got sunburn, you can rub it on the instant you get back in the car. Put it on your cheeks, put it on the back of your neck. It dries quickly. It makes your body feel cool. It's got peppermint oil in it. It's got blood-building support in it, skin-rejuvenating essential oils in it. And those plant enzymes de-inflame that tissue. So when we take that topical support post-sun treatment, especially if we did break the rule and we didn't do the adaptive buildup process, then we come in and we support that repair process on the backside. And we use stuff like the plant enzymes from the Enzyme Phoresis Ice. It is a very nice ice cream. It is not ice cream that you would eat, but it is definitely a cream that you could put, or gel that you could put on your cheeks, on your forehead, on your neck, on your shoulders, on your back, on your chest, on your arms, wherever you get the most sun beat down that afternoon, that day. And again, I think that you could finish the day, even if you just did 20, 30 minutes, you could rub some of that on some of those areas that are your areas. My shoulders, my cheeks, the back of my neck, my upper back or whatever. So if you've got some areas that typically are your burn sites, man, go ahead and start de-inflaming that tissue, preparing that tissue. It's like taking a piece of meat and tenderizing it before you cook it. You want it to be nice and tender. Why? Because it tastes better. Well, your skin, if you till the land and prepare it, you're keeping blood flow in that area, and that blood flow is carrying all those nutrients, all that healthy oxygen, and the tissues are more adaptive and able to prevent the burn, the inflammation, the instability, and the disease. That's what we're after. That's prevention. That's a good thing. And then lastly, we've talked again about omegas, calcium lactate, calcium magnesium powder. We talked a little bit about vitamin D. Again, there's so much to talk about, so many things to do. What does Willy Wonka say? So much to do, so little time. And I wish I could go through all these things, but we're going to at least cover one more. The cataplex C, circulating C levels. We've got to get the circulating C levels up because get it, the C levels, whatever.
Get the C levels right.
Yeah, get the C levels right.
Mm-hmm.
But people are taking high dose C in order as a multivitamin, and that's not what we want them to do. We want them to take a a food-based, plant-based vitamin C that has what we call the vitamin C complex. You see, in the Bible talks about after we got kicked out of the garden that the grounds were cursed, and we were going to have to work and till the land in order to get any value out of it. Interesting, I think. And the vitamin C is one of those nutrients that's found in citrus and fruits, and kicking out of the garden, the Bible references quite frequently that we are to eat the fruit of the tree, the fruit of the vine, and it only references like the seed-bearing stuff at creation, but not necessarily eating. It seems like I see the eating of fruit, like in heaven, we're fruitarians because it's so life-giving, so rich, and who doesn't love sinking their teeth into a delicious mango? Who doesn't like sinking their teeth into a delicious watermelon or to an orange or to the apple or whatever your favorite is, right? But what happens is if vitamin C post the garden, it's one of the very nutrients that we cannot manufacture, meaning our bodies must get it from the external world. And we have to find it in the external world, and we need it through plants and citrus. And so in this product, for example, it comes through quite a few different, areas. Buckwheat, for example, the areola parts of the juice powder, buckwheat flour, alfalfa, and again, different parts of the alfalfa plant. This comes from nutritional yeast, not the kind of yeast that we've talked about in the past that is very disruptive and debilitating, but B vitamin rich, healthy levels of nutritional yeast that benefit our bodies. Bovine adrenal gland. Ooh, cool. Who loves eating adrenals? Yeah, right. Nobody. And so wouldn't you rather take the extract in a supplement that is rich in vitamin C? People don't realize it, but your adrenal gland's number one nutrient. Adrenal glands handle and deal with stress. So too much sun exposure could be a stress on your body, could it not? So healthy adrenal glands are also an important piece of fighting back against the burn, fighting back against the inflammation, fighting back against the instability. So when we see that burn happen, we know that our C levels are also affected as well. Our adrenal glands are weak and not handling the stress of the elements, the sun exposure. And so we want a product that can deliver all these nutrients. So this stuff has the complex of C, vitamins P, K, and J. Tyrosinase, the enzyme that activates all this wonderful vitamins. It has the ascorbic acid everybody's familiar with. It has flavonoids, bioflavonoids, cofactors, and it even has the little things in there that we can see in a microscope, but we don't really know yet what they do or what they are because we don't have the science yet that is caught up to it. I think that's fascinating. There's still things in science we do not know, which is why you can't just assume because it was scientifically proven that they got it all, that they figured it all out. And you should definitely take you a 5 or 6 of these guys. These guys will help your circulating C. You don't saturate C like you do the calcium, magnesium. It circulates around the body, activates your immune system, stimulates your adrenal glands, helps your body deal with all types of stresses, and it helps to create a healthy internal working system that fights back against infection. And so I love the combination of concepts that we're bringing to the table today to help maximize your body's exchange with the sun and creating a healthy pre-sun game and a weekly sun game and a current exposure game in small incremental doses so we can handle the big dose on the weekends, right? Mm-hmm. And so, which then would quickly bring us to our last one, the Cataplex B Core. The Cataplex B Core, this is going to be rich in, now, B vitamins can be manufactured in our gut unless we have a very weak GI tract. So if you burn easily, not because necessarily you're fair skin, but you tend to have skin issues already, dry skin, cracked skin, all kinds of other challenges, odds are you probably have a weak digestive lining. It's the same tissue, it's just inside. And so if you have a weak tissue inside, that you've got potentially a leaky gut or inflamed, irritated bowel, irritable bowel syndrome, worse, your inflammatory itises in the gut, those are painful. We don't want you to suffer with those crazy things. We want to help your body manage those cell-to-cell communication lines so that the body functions like God created it to. But we could all benefit from some extra B vitamins. One of the key ingredients in here is B4. B4 is BIOS. BIOS is a life-giving B vitamin that really helps drive electrical activity towards the heart. And so I'm talking about blood flow in respect to sun blocks or sun protection. How are you going to protect your feet? Blood flow. How are you going to protect your scalp? Blood flow. How are you going to protect your back? Blood flow. And so we want to talk a little quickly about the mitochondrial blood building blocks and the blood flow benefits of having B circulating around. And so Cataplex B is a very rich, a water-soluble B vitamin, and it's got your stimulating side of your B vitamin. So this is a B vitamin that will give you energy. This is a B vitamin that will help those mitochondria produce oxygen, that will produce antioxidants so that your body, when exposed to inflammatory agents through your diet or through too much sun or the elements of the non-infectious world like the pollens, the Cataplex B gives those mitochondria a boost and a jolt in protecting the internal workings of the blood against oxidation. And so the Cataplex B is down-rooted deep. It's going to support your endocrine system. We've talked about that today. The adrenal glands particularly, other parts of the endocrine axis as well. It's going to help the gut lining. It's going to help the cells communicate faster, more efficiently. It's going to give you this brain build support. So now we've created a recipe that I believe would help support your sunblock internal working system. You take 2 or 3 omega soft gels. You take the vitamin DK Force, unless you already know your levels, and then we would teach you how to use the D Force 50,000. We don't just randomly throw protocols around with that product because people don't need that much. They need daily maintenance doses because of their lifestyle environments. They're not getting exposed enough to the elements of the sun and its value and benefit and wonder. But we know that we can help you build that. So if you know that your D levels are low and you don't know how much to take, or you've been told, hey, just take 1 a week of this stuff, maybe, unless you're like a 17, you might need more. But we can teach you how to look at that and evaluate it. The calcium magnesium powder to be riding on the back of the essential fatty acid chain, the omega gels, and making sure that we're getting that delivery of those nutrients to the tissues so that the tissues can create the absorption and bring those into the fold of maximizing your daily protective vehicle and making sure that your body is ready for the sun. The vitamin C, the vitamin B, coming in to activate antioxidation, to activate the adrenals and handling stress from the environment, plus your stress load from emotional stresses you're dealing with, plus all the other benefits of having a high circulating C level to help protect you against infections. And so when we come at a human with all kinds of health issues, and then we're coming into the summer, these are additional support, but also if you've caught anything today, you could hear very much that these could be fundamental. You could literally build an entire healthy protocol with these products. The omegas, the calcium, the Cat B, and the C, and the D, and you've got yourself a very full, robust protocol to help support your body's daily needs. This excites me. This is why I love nutrition, because all you have to do is learn some of the fundamental basics of what to put in throughout the day, and the body will do the rest. All life, guys, starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that drives it onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. So I pray that your day is filled full of amazing, that your week is extraordinary, and that you do reap the many, many benefits of the sun. So this is Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We come on KHEA Radio every week. We are on many different podcast platforms, YouTube, Spotify. You can just look us up on any of the mainstream platforms, and you can check out many of our recent shows. We do all kinds of shows because we know that people have questions about all kinds of issues. We've talked about stress. We've talked about allergies. We've talked about infections. We talked about common colds. We've talked today about sun. So if you have friends, family, and loved ones that need this type of information, if they're interested in alternative medicine, if you're trying to just kind of, get them interested, hey, check this out, share us, like us, make a comment, help us help you by telling us what you want to hear more about, and we'll do our best to bring it to you. I hope that you guys have a blessed and wonderful week, and we'll check you later.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.